at FreedomFest 2019 with Jason Cozens, founder and CEO of Glint. Jason, thanks for joining me here on set.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Jason, tell us first about your company, Glint. What is Glint?
Okay, really simply, Glint has enabled physical gold for the first time to be able to be used in electronic payments at the point of sale. So you literally can buy gold at a moment's notice. You can buy it at the cheapest prices you can get it at in the marketplace. And more importantly, with our Glint MasterCard, you can spend it anywhere in the world. So I'm spending my gold, I'm buying coffees, I can buy a hotel room, I can do that in Tokyo, Mumbai, Washington, Dallas, New York, anywhere in the world at 35,000 feet in an airplane. For the first time, we're actually using physical gold as money.
Okay, so let's approach it from two aspects, because you're selling to different people. You're selling to, for instance, gold people who understand gold. Maybe don't understand the technology as well. So to them, why is this a first? This is the point of sale is an important piece of this, right?
It's the most important point. I mean, a lot of people explain to me that gold's the ultimate store of value. I learned that through various stages of my life, but they'd always say, but gold's stuck in a vault, I can't use it to buy a coffee. And for me, that was like a red rag to a bull. Why is that the case? And so we started a very long journey in developing the technology to enable you to do that, to enable it to participate in the payments world.
Yeah, and so what was the key problem now to you getting? What hurdle did you have to surmount?
Oh, on the technology?
Just to get, it seems like we got close. People have tried to do this.
Yes.
People have gotten close.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is the first, what was the thing with a big breakthrough?
So this concept came to me 10 years ago. Then it was a long time to work out how to do this properly, and then a long time and a lot of money to build it, okay? So we didn't take any shortcuts, and we didn't take shortcuts from a regulatory point of view, and we didn't take shortcuts with the technology either. So I think that, if you look at Glint, we're one of the few companies that's built our own technology from the ground up. Our whole technology payments platform is ours, it's what we own. And so we ourselves integrate directly into the MasterCard and the Visa payment systems. Whereas I think a lot of other companies try to take some shortcuts, work with some existing fiat currency payments companies that work with MasterCard, and kind of try to bolt gold onto the side of that. It doesn't work like that, you know?
What was the problem there?
Well, if you're a gold company that allows people to buy and sell gold online, and you link with a MasterCard program manager processor that enables people to use fiat currency, how do you connect those two? If you've got the company that's managing the fiat currency MasterCard, they don't know what the customer has in gold. Those two need to be totally integrated. And when I came to this, there was no company in the world that had a multi-currency platform that enabled gold to be used as money. So we had to build our own. In fact, our platform's currency agnostic. If we wanted to, we could have a coffee bean currency. It's not that we want that, but we had to do that from the ground up. We did the integrations ourselves into the banking system and into the MasterCard payments rails to enable that all to happen seamlessly, so that when the card is presented to the merchant, within 200 milliseconds, we check, the signal comes through from the merchant, travels across the world into our servers. We then check what the price of gold is, how much gold the customer's got. In that very moment, we decide whether or not to authorize the transaction or not. We do or we don't, and then we sell just enough gold so that the proceeds of that can pay for the currency of invoice that the merchant has sent us.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you said that it could be a coffee bean currency, whatever.
Yeah.
Glint, like Uber and a lot of these other companies, is at its core a technology company in some sense, right?
Yeah.
So, and you could have chosen anything to base your currency on, but you chose gold. There must be a reason. You must be biased toward this form of...
I'm not from the financial service industry, and I didn't know anything about gold more than 10 years ago. Except what I saw was banks going bust, Lehman Brothers going down, Northern Rock in the north of England, where I'm from, people queuing outside, wondering if they're going to get their money.
It was one of the early ones.
Yeah, and there I was. Suddenly, it was a realization for me, like many people, maybe some of your customers, that suddenly, oh wow, gold is not a safe deposit of money. Sorry, a bank is not a safe deposit of money.
Yeah.
And then that, of course, leads on to other conversations and thoughts about, well, what about money itself? Why does money depreciate in ways that are outside of my control? Why is a dollar that used to buy me 4 chocolate bars now only buy me 1 and it's half the size? So that was a whole conversation going on in my mind, and I started to think about what money is. What is money to me? Well, if I'm lucky enough for you to do something for me, then I owe you one. And for me, that promise is what money is. It's the ledger of promises between people. And that ledger shouldn't be corruptible, it shouldn't be changeable, it should be sacrosanct. So how do you create a form of money which is uncorruptible? And I learned that gold is the oldest store of value, of course, like all of your readers know. It still buys you what it did 2,000 years ago. It's created when 2 neutron stars collide, so no one can mess with its nature. Right. And the problem is that any form of money whose nature is defined by human beings is corruptible. Because that's just who we are. Yeah, we're tempted to always change things or corrupt them. They just become corrupted. And whether that is a cryptocurrency or whether it's a fiat currency, it's the same. But with gold not being able to be corrupted, there's no token, there's no fund that exists between you and your ownership of your gold with Glint. So we purposely didn't call it the Glint currency. I mean, when I pull my app out, I look on it, I'm buying gold grams. It tells me how much gold I've got. And when I make a transaction, it tells me that I paid, 8 grams, 8.045 grams for that hotel room last night. There's nothing in the way between you and your ownership of your gold. And that's why we chose gold to be the base for this.
Okay. It's interesting because the two things that people want in money.
Yeah.
So stability and safety on the one hand, and liquidity and low-fee transactions, they're difficult to marry. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's been the problem.
Yes.
So, and people psychologically who like gold don't want to be part of the banking system. That's one of the reasons. But you sort of had to integrate this product with certain existing apparatus, right, for it to be workable.
Well, we had a choice. We could have launched Glint, and we could have just made it peer-to-peer, so person-to-person payments.
Right.
And imagine you were the first customer. You were signed up to Glint, really excited that Glint's going to change the world and make it money again. Oh, and who can I spend it with? Yeah. And you go down to your local coffee shop and you say, I've just signed up to this new currency called Glint, or I've got this gold currency. I'm sorry, we don't take that. What is that? And you have had no utility.
Yeah.
It was really obvious to me right from the very beginning that we needed to give it immediate utility to the first person that opened a Glint account. Mm-hmm. And that first person was able to walk into their local supermarket and buy groceries and pay with gold. And most of our customers, we've got tens of thousands of customers in Europe already, and they love that. They love the fact that they can own gold, they can have their own personal gold standard, and they can walk into anywhere in the world where there's a MasterCard symbol, and they can pay with their gold. In the same way that if you flew to Paris from the US, you could pay with your US dollars, and the Parisian merchant would would do that transaction with you. They end up getting their Parisian dollars, but you've just paid with US dollars,
right.
Parisian euros. So that was the first thing. We're going to be bringing peer-to-peer out. We think it's very important, and we'll be doing that later this year. Okay. So Glint is both totally integrated with the financial system, but really importantly, totally separate from it as well. So you have the best of both worlds.
Let's talk about fees, because one of the things that you're bringing to the table is truly global currency. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what gold was originally, global currency recognized all over the place. Now you're sort of bringing that. Are you sort of shaving the margins on the FX by doing this?
We're trying to make this as efficient as possible. It's all about our technology. And the technology can help bring that efficiency to the marketplace. Banks, incumbents, they all have huge legacy costs, including physical outlets and things like that. With tech, we're able to bring unprecedented efficiencies to money. We also want to be totally transparent. We really mean that. Even the disruptors within the banking system who say they're transparent are not transparent. We're saying, look, we'll keep this really, really simple. If you want to buy and I'll sell your gold, exchange it effectively into 150 different currencies around the world. When you spend, we'll only charge you 0.5% fee on top of the interbank rate that we're getting from the liquidity providers. So we're not marking up the rate, we're just adding 0.5% fee. And we don't charge for anything else. I think if you want to redeem your money from an ATM, various ATMs charge some fees. I think it's about $4.50 for that on average. And conceptually we have an annual storage fee of 0.125%, which we will probably be bringing in. And we say to all of our customers, that is the fee, but we're not charging it at the moment.
Oh, I see. And then if you do peer-to-peer, I assume that's possible?
That product's not live yet, but the way we plan it is that when you transfer funds to one of your friends, you won't pay any money at all for that.
Okay. Would there be a possibility to have sort of a Glint checking versus Glint savings, where savings you have a lower storage fee and with maybe less functionality, and people can sort of move between
we've got a roadmap as long as one of your hideways of different bits of functionality we want to bring to Glint. You know, effectively, you know, to make gold money, you've got to make it behave like any other form of currency that's out there.
Yeah.
We've started what we think is the killer app, the killer use utility for this, which is just the ability to spend it. But just watch this space. Apart from peer-to-peer, you can start to see business accounts opening, desktop versions of the product. At the moment, you can only access it through the app. All kinds of interesting reports and security features, more currencies. So in Europe, we already have, apart from gold, you can save in euros, dollars, and pounds. And you'll soon see krona, CAD dollar, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, and eventually up to about 20 currencies on the platform that you can save in. And that's not because we don't think gold's the ultimate currency. Of course we do. But if you want gold to be used as money and considered money in every other way, you've got to accept that we live in a world which has got multiple currencies.
Yes.
And sometimes people might want to save in those different currencies as well. We hope to be bringing those multiple currency wallets to the US after we launch. But when we launch, it will be gold and US dollar wallets in the account. But if you want to spend that gold, let me just remind you, you can spend your gold in over 150 currencies around the world, and we will only charge you a 0.5% exchange rate. So that's much cheaper when you travel than what you get your bank tip will be charging you. In most cases, they'll be costing you about 5 or 6% sometimes on the exchange rates.
Okay. What about redemption fulfillment? I actually want my gold now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got partnered with various gold bullion dealers around the US. And if you want your gold delivered, then you can have it delivered. There'll be a small premium to have that delivered to cover the costs of the delivery. But yeah, it's absolutely one of the most important things. We acknowledge that people want to have some metal at home as well.
Okay. You announced, I guess, was it last month, Sprott, the parent company of Sprott Media, has become an investor in Glint. What is a company like Sprott? Why did you want to partner with Sprott? Yeah,
we were really chuffed that Sprott took an interest in Glint, and over the moon that they invested in the business and led that round. You know, Sprott did its due diligence on the company as well, so that brings us credibility. And you know, this is a credibility business. People want to know, well, you know, who's auditing you? Well, it's Grant Thornton. Who are you partnered with? We're partnered with MasterCard, we're partnered with Lloyds Bank, we're partnered with Sutton Bank here in the US. Are you regulated? Yes, we're regulated by the UK's FCA. And who are your investors? Well, we already had the Tokyo Commodities Exchange invested in Glint because they could see we're going to grow the size of the gold market, and they've never invested in a business before. We had NEC, we had a small VC company, and when Sprott took an interest for us, it was like the ultimate partnership for us, really. I mean, obviously Sprott are leaders in the field when it comes to gold bullion investment. There's a huge thought leadership in there, and the advice we get from Sprott and the money that we are putting to good use now for our launch into the US is greatly appreciated. Okay, so where is it available now today? Just one more point, I think a special thing about Sprott as well is Sprott's vision for the future. You know, they're a company that understands that the gold industry needs to innovate, and that's the way through. Sorry, what was your question again? So where is Glint available live now? So at the moment, we can open accounts to anybody in the UK and across Europe. And any day now, you'll be able to do that to the citizens in the residents of the USA. So we actually do have about 100 people beta testing it for us right now. Okay. That's going very well. So just watch this space. You'll be the first to know the day we launch, but it's been a matter of weeks now. Okay, cool. And before we went live, you showed me MasterCard. I was very impressed with that. You have that card on you. Yeah, sure. And by the way, before we go live, anybody of your viewers, you can go onto our website, which is glintpay.com, www.glintpay.com, and you can pre-register. So you'll be one of the first people in the world to know about our launch here in the US. But yeah, I've got my MasterCards here. You want to check this out. This is for a solid gold debit cards. That's made of real physical gold. You've got to feel it. What does that feel like?
It feels like gold.
Yeah,
it does.
It's amazing, isn't it? When you put that in your hand, it sends a shiver up my arm. This gold card, it's actually a prototype. It'll look a little bit different to this. It's going to be available for people in a few months, probably to our highest tier customers who are holding about 3 kilos of gold in their accounts.
All right, wonderful. All right, thanks for joining me today. It's really nice to get to know you and get to know Glint.
Thank you for your time. It's fantastic.